ready to tackle the IELTS speaking test? Because today, we're going deep into a mock test.
We're going to break down a real test scenario.
Yeah, we'll really get into the language that can help you get that great score.
Think of it like we're your coaches for the IELTS.
All right, let's just jump right in, okay? Let's pretend like I'm the one taking the test and you're the examiner.
Perfect. Let's get started.
Can you tell me what to expect in the first part?
Sure. In this part, I'll ask you some general questions about yourself.
Okay, I'm ready.
Do you often remember your dreams?
Yeah, I do. I remember them pretty vividly, most of the time anyway. Some are really strange. But, I kind of like thinking about them later. It's like they're little stories,
Yeah.
from my subconscious. Sometimes I'll even write them down.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, just to see if there are any patterns or connections to, like, my real life.
What is the strangest dream you've ever had?
It's a good question. I guess one of the strangest ones I've ever had was this one where I could fly, but only a few inches above the ground. It was like I was gliding. Super strange. I remember feeling so excited, but also confused. Like I had to concentrate, to stay in control. It really stuck with me. It felt so real and just so bizarre.
Do you think dreams have any special meaning?
I do think they can. Sometimes, at least. Not always literally, of course. I think that they often show you, like, emotions or thoughts that you're working through subconsciously.
Yeah.
For example, if I'm really stressed about an exam or a project at work, I might dream that I'm totally unprepared.
Right.
But I don't think every dream has to be significant. Sometimes I think they're just random images, like our brain is just processing things. Okay, so is that the end of part one?
Yes, that wraps up part one, the introduction and interview.
All right, so what's next in the speaking test?
For part two, you'll get a topic card. You'll have 1 minute to prepare, and then you'll speak for 1 to 2 minutes.
Could you give me the topic card now?
Of course. The topic is, describe your favorite drink.
Okay, so I'll have to talk about what it is. When I usually drink it, why I like it, and if it's a popular drink in my country, okay, I think I can handle that. Just give me a minute to think it through.
You have 1 minute to prepare.
Okay, favorite drink. Got to be coffee. But not just any coffee. I'm talking about espresso. It's my go-to in the morning. Why is it so special? The taste, for sure. It's rich and bold. And the aroma. It's heavenly. And yeah, it's really popular in my country. Pretty much everyone I know is hooked on coffee, especially espresso drinks. All right, I'm ready.
Your minute is up. Please begin speaking.
My favorite drink has to be coffee. Specifically, a really rich espresso. I usually have it first thing in the morning to kind of jumpstart my day. It gives me that boost of energy that I need and helps me focus. I just love that deep, bold flavor. And the aroma is just irresistible, honestly. I drink it black, no sugar, no milk. I like it straight up. Coffee's hugely popular in my country, especially drinks made with espresso. A lot of people start their day with a coffee, maybe a quick espresso or a cappuccino if they have more time. Coffee shops are everywhere. And meeting up with friends over coffee has become like a big part of our culture. For me, it's more than just a drink. It's like a daily ritual that makes my day better.
Thank you.
So what's next?
Now we'll move on to the last part, part three.
Great. What are we going to discuss in this section?
In part three, we're going to have a discussion about issues that are related to the topic from part two.
Okay, interesting. I'm ready.
Why do you think some noises are more annoying to people than others?
I think it's because of things like frequency, volume, or how often the sound repeats. For instance, high-pitched sounds like a car alarm or a dog that barks constantly. Those can be really intrusive. They interrupt your concentration. On the other hand, quieter sounds are usually more tolerable, like soft background music or the hum of a fan. Those aren't as sharp or disruptive. I think it also depends on the environment you're in. If you're trying to concentrate or sleep, even small noises can be annoying. But if you're somewhere busy, you might not even notice them.
How does noise pollution affect people's quality of life?
Well, I think it can really impact your quality of life, especially in big cities. When you're constantly exposed to loud noises, it can lead to stress. It can make you irritable. It can even cause health problems like High blood pressure, people who live near busy roads or airports, for example, they might have trouble sleeping. And that affects their overall well-being, right?
Hmm.
In the long term, noise pollution can make you less productive.
Oh,
It's hard to concentrate. It's hard to work or relax. It's a big problem, especially as cities get more crowded and active.
okay, let's shift gears a little. Let's talk about preferences for drinks. Do you think people's preferences change as they get older?
Yeah, I think they often do. I mean, a lot of people, when they're younger, they love sweet drinks, like soda or juice.
Mm.
But as they grow up, they might start to prefer coffee or tea, even wine. It could be because they're trying different flavors. Or they want something that suits a more sophisticated palate. Older people might also choose drinks that have health benefits, like herbal teas, instead of just thinking about the taste.
Mm.
Okay, so is that the end of the mock test?
Yes, that's the end of our mock speaking test. Now let's break down some of the key expressions and collocations you used in your answers.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to hear what you noticed.
Let's start with quite vividly. You used that in part one when you were describing how clearly you remember your dreams.
Oh, yeah. I remember saying that. It felt like a natural way to say that my dreams are, clear in my mind.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the examiners are listening for, natural, fluent language. Quite vividly is a great example of a collocation,
Yeah.
a group of words that just naturally go together. And when you use them correctly, it makes your English sound smoother, more impressive.
So using the right collocations can help boost my score.
Oh, absolutely. Let's look at another example. You described your dreams as mini stories.
Yeah, because they often feel like little narratives with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Exactly. And that's what we call a metaphor. It creates that picture in the listener's mind. Using metaphors can make your language more interesting, and it shows you have a wider range of vocabulary.
I see how these little changes can make a big difference.
You got it. Now, remember when you were talking about your morning coffee? You used the phrase, kickstart my day.
Yeah, I wanted to say that coffee gives me energy, helps me get going.
And kickstart my day is a perfect idiom for that. It's informal, so it sounds natural when you're speaking, and it really captures that energy boost from coffee.
So using idioms is another way to impress the examiners.
Precisely. It shows you have a good grasp of the English language. Now let's focus on a couple more examples from your description of coffee. You said bold flavor and authentic taste.
Oh, yeah. I remember using those because they felt right when describing my love for espresso. Bold highlights that strong, rich taste. And authentic shows that I prefer it black. No milk or sugar.
That's great. Those are both good examples of collocations that we use a lot when we're talking about food and drinks. It shows the examiner that you have a good command of the vocabulary related to that topic.
It's like I'm learning a whole new language code for the IELTS Speaking Test.
You could say that. Okay, now let's shift our focus to the phrases background music and the hum of a fan. You use those when you're talking about noises that you can tolerate.
Right, I wanted to compare those softer sounds with the sharper, more annoying ones.
And you did that really well. You used descriptive language. And background are both really good examples of words that create a specific sound in the listener's mind.
So using descriptive language is important too.
Absolutely. It helps the examiner visualize what you're saying, makes your language more engaging. Remember, the IELTS speaking test is all about how well you can communicate.
This is all making much more sense now.
Great. Now let's look at the term noise pollution. You used this when you were talking about the bad effects of noise.
Yeah, I felt like noise pollution was the right term. To describe noise from things like traffic or construction in the city.
You're right, it's a more formal term, and it gets across the environmental problems that are linked with too much noise.
Interesting. Using a more formal term can add weight to what you're saying.
Exactly. It shows the examiner that you can adapt your language. Now, let's talk about the phrase quality of life. You used this when you were discussing the impact of noise on people's well-being.
I thought quality of life was a good way to talk about well-being in general and how outside things can affect it.
It's a great choice. Quality of life is a common collocation. We use it in discussions about health, the environment, and social problems. It shows the examiner that you're familiar with the language we use for those topics.
I'm starting to see a pattern. Using the right collocations and expressions really can make my language better and impress the examiners.
That's the key takeaway here. Understanding these little things about language can help you sound more fluent, more natural, more confident. It's not just about what you say, it's how you say it.
I'm definitely going to pay more attention to these things when I'm practicing.
That's the spirit. Remember, practice makes perfect. And using these expressions and collocations will really help you improve your speaking skills and feel more confident.
It's like I have a secret weapon now, to sound more like a native speaker.
Exactly. The more you use these phrases, the easier they'll become.
I feel inspired to step up my IELTS game. I'm really feeling it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main takeaways for our listener, from this mock speaking test?
Well, first of all, you really saw how important it is to answer fully, with detail. Don't just give those short, one-word answers. Really explain your ideas, give examples, show off your vocabulary.
Yeah, it's about showing the examiner what you can do with the language.
Exactly. And as we talked about, using those specific expressions, idioms, and collocations can make a real difference. Your answers will sound more natural and fluent.
It's like those little things really polish your speaking.
Exactly. And finally, I can't stress enough how important practice is. The more you practice speaking, especially using the phrases we talked about, the more confident you'll become.
Yeah, I totally agree. Practice is key to feeling ready for that IELTS speaking test.
Now, before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. As you keep preparing for the IELTS, I really encourage you to look closely at the language in those high-scoring sample answers.
Oh, that's a great tip. Like a cheat sheet.
You got it. Analyze those answers, look for those key expressions and collocations, and then try using them in your own practice sessions. This will help you build your vocabulary, and it'll help you understand how to use language well in the IELTS speaking test.
I love that advice. It's like learning from the best and using those strategies to get ready.
And remember, confidence is key. Believe in yourself, practice consistently, and you'll be on your way to getting the score you want.
So there you have it. We hope this deep dive into the mock IELTS speaking test was helpful and gave you a little confidence boost.
Remember, becoming fluent and successful is a journey. Embrace the challenge, have fun with it, and never stop learning.
And if you ever need some help or inspiration, you know where to find us. Right here on The Deep Dive, your source for knowledge and exploration.
Until next time.